And they had actually gone to nuclear because there was no any other alternative. We are extracting around 900 megawatts. Let me first put it clear that Kenya consumes around, the installed capacity is around 3,400 megawatt. But the total, that is installed. But because sometimes you may not have wind, other times the hydros would be low, the installed could actually, if you want to see how much it can generate at a go, because even the one we have for solar cannot generate at night, yet you want to light your bulb at night. So what could be available could be 2,700. Okay, 2,700. So as a result, we have put geothermal at 900 megawatt. Okay, which is almost 30% or thereabout. And in generation, actually, it generates more than 40%. Are we almost exploiting geothermal? No, because we have done 900 megawatt. Do you know our geothermal potential as a country? 10,000 megawatt. Why would you be going to nuclear? Have you exploited the geothermal?
They have not exhausted.
And the geothermal is very cheap. It is not dependent. It doesn't have any safety concern, because I know the radiation from the nuclear is a problem. Again, as a country, we are not very sure whether we are safe or we will be able to handle nuclear.
Kama hata barabara zetu hajui kuhandle.
Yes. So how will you handle a nuclear power plant? Is it going to be safe? We are safe with the geothermal. Safe for the. Have you ever gone to geothermal spa? That smell is the only problem we would be having. Of hydrogen sulfide.
Yeah.
But other than that, we could generate power. You see, we need 3,400 as a country for the installed capacity. What if we would shut off all the rest and use geothermal alone and then transmit it to Mombasa? We do the Isinya to Mariakani or Rabai line, that substation. We do that line. Once we do that line as a country, we will be sure that we have knocked off about 3 shillings from our bills. And that is going to be a relief to consumers. But now, we don't want to do that. We will keep on sparingly doing the geothermal just to the safety of the people supplying power in Rabai, so that they are not cut off for the supply. We even have other plants here in Nairobi. We have Triumph Power, we have Thika Power, and we have Gulf Power. Those are plants that are just silent. Of course, they don't consume a lot of fuel because they also don't light up. But remember, we are also paying them for being on standby. So, where is the consumer discussion before they implement some of these things?
Still on the issue of nuclear power.
Yes.
Even countries such as US, they are trying to get away from that.
They are getting away.
Yeah, actually, they are shutting down some of their plants pole too.
Yes.
Now, if they are doing that, who on earth is advising our government?
You see, what happens? You
to get into nuclear.
Most of the people who have cars, they are happy because their cars come from Japan.
Right.
Because Japan does not do anything probably beyond 7 years, so they can export it to Kenya. Now, Kenyans have seen an opportunity where other countries are disposing nuclear components or machinery or equipment. So when you lie to the people that you are buying a nuclear equipment, you can be sure they are not going to buy a new one. They will be given the other one like that is a disposal. Then they claim we have bought for 900 billion.
Yes.
Okay? So that is what they are seeing.
Are we even able to take care of the nuclear waste that comes from, the used roads?
Yeah.
Tutazipeleka wapi?
In fact, remember, by the way, I don't know whether you have even tried to understand where do people dispose the asbestos sheets. It's already a problem where you need to go and bury. So what will happen if it comes to nuclear waste? Those roads that are used. So we are not ready as a country. In fact, the roads are already not safe for us to think of nuclear. That is too high technology. And when they talk about that they want to bring nuclear in the country, remember, by the way, the first nuclear plant will be set up in 2035. That is what they said. What is so strategic about that? Most of the thermal plants will be retired at that time, so they can bring in nuclear. What is again so strategic is that some of the set retirement age for most of the nuclear plants in the other parts of the world will be retired around that time. So that is the best time to pick and bring it to Kenya. Otherwise, if you look at it now, Kenya cannot do any nuclear plant at the moment because none is being disposed by a country. Yes.
Hey. Now, again, still on, you said some of the geothermal plants and hydro will be retired around that time? What did you say?
The thermal generators. Also, kina Rabai, kina Kipevutu, kina Thika Power.
I think it's good you understand the thermal. Thermal does not mean geothermal.
Geothermal.
Okay.
Thermal is diesel. I better mention
plants that
diesel.
use heavy fuel and diesel.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Those are the thermal.
So once they are retired,
yes,
they are free to sign in any other. And that in that time it will be nuclear. But why can't they sign them in now, the nuclear now? Because one, there is none of the nuclear equipment that is being disposed in other countries so that they can buy it cheap. And then it's going to come and knock off these diesel generators. And so the people who supply diesel there, who we don't know who they are going to go hungry.
That is the reason why, especially the last one.
So anyway, getting back to that thing that you said because you said that Kenya has got the capacity.
Yes.
Already just with the hydro,
geothermal,
10,000, and the wind and the solar.
Yes.
Basically, we have not exhausted those particular sources.
Yes.
So again, and I will go and ask the question: who is advising Gava to do this? Yet we have all this other potential ya kufanya mambo yote kabla tufikirie kwenda mambo ya nuclear, the one that the world is actually rejecting at this particular point.
Let me tell you what happened. The people advising this government is one, the advisor to the CS. I don't know who is the advisor to Opiyo Wandayi, but I had a friend called Eric Mwangi who was advising Davis Chirchir at one point.
Right.
But now, who are the real advisors to the government? They are the national, the energy committees in the Senate and the National Assembly, because they are supposed to collect very many views from the citizens and also go to other countries to benchmark so that they can advise the government and so the CS.
Okay.
Now, we have done that. We've been in the National Assembly. Personally, I've been in the National Assembly with my team, talked with the energy committee, advised them on a few things. I revealed a few things, and then they were able to draft a motion to take to the parliament on how to reduce the cost of power. They did that. It was taken by one Jane Kagiri until it went to a place where it was supposed to be discussed. They were supposed to pose a question of yes or no in the parliament. That is the time, I don't know who covered it, and then the committee was again disbanded and they brought afresh. That committee, which was being led by Vincent Kawaya, Vincent Musyoka, who is Kawaya, you know, he's an engineer. He understood the journey we had taken him. He understood until a point where now he was removed and we brought someone afresh who needs again to be taken. What is a kilowatt hour? What are we talking about here? He needs to do several visits before he understands again. He cannot utilize the visits that were done by Kawaya before. We went to the Senate. That time is Honorable Matinga, who was the senator of Nyeri, who is the senator of Nyeri even currently, who was the chairman. Again, we started to convince them a few things. It did not take off. I don't know who is the chairman right now.
Okay.
But we are also tired of keep on advising them and revealing to them data. We have a lot of data we have gathered to show them the trends and what needs to be done.
Okay.
Now, when you ask who advises the government, the advisors are there because we are there. In fact, we have called for even the president to involve us as a society to go and tell him the concerns and why we think this can be possible, but nobody wants to do it. We have done that. But instead of doing that, you know, it's like brokerage. For you to see the president, you need to go through many people.
You have to see 7 people.
You have to see 7 people before you see the president.
Right.
And so when you see him again, there is another challenge. He will have 5 minutes. And 5 minutes will be to introduce your name and where you had seen
So it's
him.
not enough.
It's not enough. You need to do several slides. You need to sit with the president for like 6 hours until
have
you
a
understand.
Q&A.
Yes, a Q&A, and you can present data. You see here, this is what happened, what used to happen during Kibaki times, because we still have data for the same.
Yes.
But now the challenge has been, who is advising the president? The last statement that is confirmed on who is advising the president is what I heard that came from the US.
Okay.
Yes.
Engineer John,
Yes.
before Patricia gets into that other question.
Yes.
Do you think it's possible to actually have what is it called, nuclear here in Kenya? Because at least I know a few things about nuclear energy.
Yes.
How it's generated, but more so the hazards.
Yes.
Because even advanced democracies, advanced countries, you know, the first world countries are unable to contain it in its purest form.
Yes.
Hapa Kenya unaona ni kama hiyo kitu inaweza fanyika kweli with our very si kwa ubaya but very cheap mines.
I know Japan has been doing some modular design. They have done advanced research on them.
Right.
Actually, they have come up with some very small installation of nuclear, which can even be used can be deployed to power even just a town alone.
Okay.
Just a town alone.
So like a small plant.
Like a small plant.
Okay.
Like a small plant. And they have also Japan has also said that they can partner with Kenya in taking Kenya through that journey.
All right.
But as we were talking about earlier, one of the reason why nuclear plant cannot, why it was rejected in Kilifi, maybe now has nothing to do with the people of Kilifi.
Okay.
It has something to do with the supply of fuel to that region.
All right.
So I think it is good for the government has not been objective.
Yes.
In supporting this economy. That is what I would say.
But in your capacity just
Yes.
as a person,
Yes.
as a Kenyan,
Yes.
Engineer John,
Yes.
would you advocate for introduction of nuclear power in
I would advocate.
Okay.
Because one, it would give Kenyans a chance to have a very cheap power. Although currently
Yes.
we have cheaper generation, which is geothermal, which Kenya has only managed to convert less than 90%. Actually, we have only been able to do less than 10% of its capability. And with generation of using geothermal is around 7 shilling, which would translate at most, even if you were to add other costs, maybe 15 shillings.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if the whole process can be handled transparently. Yes.
Mr. Dereva,
Yes.
there's this question about the issue of infrastructure.
Yes.
Actually, in terms of transmission, there is a time in Kenya last year. Is it last year or last year but one?
Yes.
Stima zilipotea the whole country.
Yes.
And this was attributed to some, wakisema kwamba hizi lines za transmission sijui zimezeeka, sijui something was faulty huko kwa geothermal or something. What would you say is the state of the transmission infrastructure in our country for power?
Thank you very much, Tricia. Now, different views will be given by different people, but I will give the correct truth of what happened. There is a station called Muhoroni Gas Turbine in Kisumu, those routes. Muhoroni Gas Turbine, and I think it's in the area where you are going through Koru or thereabout. They retired that plant because it was due for retirement anyway. So they retired it, but they did not plan. Just as the way we are saying whether they have someone who advises the government. They had not been advised that once you retire this plant, the local consumption will require you to get power from elsewhere because you have shut off this one. Now the transmission cables were not enough to be able to bring power that is too much loaded to the Muhoroni. So there was a sudden surge or demand of power, but the cables were not enough.
Okay.
So it was tripping. Now what happens when you are generating, and you are generating a 2,400 megawatt currently, and then 60 just drops from that demand, it means there is an oversupply. So what happens? The National Control Center will detect and it will shut off. Once it shuts off, of course there is darkness in the whole country. What you need to do, you need to balance and light. You know, Kenyans, for ukitaka kujua stima imekuja, you look at lights in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So you leave your bulb on. Now in power, injecting power does not work like that. You need a certain allowance for it to cover up for those people who have switched on. But if it is the whole country, ukifungulia generator hivi, it is on load hata kabla iwake. Okay? Before it peaks, already the demand is too high, so it trips. You light it again, the demand is high. You know, in generation, you are supposed to first have the generator start. And then you start switching. But you have switched on, you are lighting the generator. So even before it peaks, it is overwhelmed by the demand.
So it is unable to supply.
It is unable to supply. So that is what happened in the whole country.
Okay.
Turkana cannot bring anything. This other side, it cannot. It is tripping because there is too much demand. So as a result, you are led to sleep. Tuamukia kesho, mukienda kazi hamutasumbua. Tutawakisha that.
Okay. So
Ngoja kidogo.
basically,
So mbona basi wasifanye hivi?
Yes.
Wa disconnect generator. So assuming this desk is the generator.
Yes.
Si wa disconnect tu ile power inaenda iko, wawashe kwanza hii. Then ikishawaka, they just switch the switch back on and do the connection.
But you see, in demand planning, there is a way you allocate how much should go there, and it is not smoothly done. Ati unaangalia wamewakisha kadhaa, unaongeza no. There is a minimum. There is a minimum that you should start.
Okay.
So but now if everybody is demanding power, so ikakuwa, it is impossible. It's normal. But now what they did, they brought that Muhoroni gas turbine back into line, and that is the line again they were saying they need to do the Chemosit line.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened, because again Adani, I think, was stopped to do that. So what we are going to do now that the Muhoroni gas turbine has been started, and it is very expensive to operate, even if it's not too much in terms of if you distribute to all the consumers in the country.
Yeah.
But we need it out because we need clean energy. We need a line done. I mean, Kisumu is not very far from Orkaria as compared to Mombasa. We need to do those 2 lines. Orkaria itupatie pande hiyo na hii ingine itupatie side ya Mombasa, sisi tukae na stima yetu. Ikiwa clean. We don't need so many technologies. That nuclear Chomba is saying here, I am finding it interesting because why would he think that we need to introduce it at this point after many years of being run by other countries? Don't you see there is a time we will not even have a spare because other people have left that? Yes, ukianza kutafuta spare ya hii naitwa
uranium
premium hii nyoka hii this car. You know, at one point utaenda upate hata taa haipatikani. So you want us to run generators for the next nuclear generators for the next 30 years. Who will give us spares, and as Kenyans we cannot repair. What we are having a problem in South Africa is because of their own making, that they took the plants when they thought that ni wazungu walikuwa na operate. They thought, now can we bring our people who did not understand the sensitivity. Right now they are having a problem. Most of the turbines zinatumia coal are now running on even 40% efficiency. Because
that's
they
why they keep on experiencing the load shed.
Sasa utaleta nuclear, even without that efficiency kwenda chini, tutakuwa sisi hatuoni because of that nuclear problem. Yes, so we need to avoid it.
So specifically now on the transmission, your infrastructure hiyo, leave alone now your time kulikuwa na blackout. Now how is the state right now in our country?
The state right now, we had attended some forum with Ketraco, and they made us understand the problem they are having. And we of course need to do that infrastructure, the transmission to different lines. We are still doing electrification, but even as we do that, the transmission that we had done from here to Mombasa was weak, because of course there are people who will tell me, wewe unasema hakuna connection from Nairobi to Mombasa, what about those cables we see? That is not enough. The grid strength for that is not enough. We need to do a serious one and a high voltage so that we don't have a lot of drop for all the 490 kilometers. Now we need to do that, and we understand. Even when we go to a meeting with Ketraco and they are telling us our infrastructure is aging and some were not designed to carry all that power, there has been more electrification than the initial design. And we understand. The only challenge we are asking them is that we have seen you have used 36 million per kilometer to do the transmission line. 36 million per kilometer. Of course that includes the pylons. Those are the metallic poles. Unajua hii pole ya stima ya chuma haiitwi kikingi, inaitwa pylons. So then there is the substations in between. Along the transmission you should be having substations just to isolate power based on where you are supplying. So from here to Mombasa would be maybe I don't know how many stations, but let me talk of, they were using around 36 million per kilometer. They have budgeted that in the up to year 2040 he was telling me up to year 2040
56 million.
They were budgeting at 56 million. When Adani was coming, he wanted to do using 270 million per kilometer. So where is priority for us to go to Adani when actually even us with Ketraco can do with the 56 million? Unless you are introducing some other left, because they had not. By the way, you could be seeing in our bills, were it not that stopping, you would have seen transmission by Adani 4 shillings. Because they want you to pay Adani directly. But now what we did is that we are pushing Ketraco to do it themselves. And in this 56 million, I am sure there is already budgeted corruption, because you can get it at even 40 million. And when I say it's budgeted corruption, is that give me that contract with 38 million. I will do it. But you didn't give me a chance. You are just telling me it's 56 million. So I don't know where, as an energy expert, is getting that should be the truth, or he is just mentioning what they say, but he has not bought the idea.
Kenyans, even as Kenyans engineers, we are also saying we can do that line. We can do that line. We can divide among ourselves.
Yes.
We take each we have companies taking each a section. We do it all the way to Mombasa,
and actually
and we can do it cheaply.
That was one of my questions, because we are getting so many people from outside, so-called experts, yet we are churning out engineers every year, from all the universities here in Kenya, engineers such as yourselves. And I like the fact that we say, "Mata sisi tupate."
Yes, we can.
Why are we getting people from outside?
You are not an investor, because what you are saying is you will not your cousin know that you are given a certain amount of money by someone through a deal. You have to get people who can't talk, who are from China,
Okay.
people who are maybe from India, to come and be the ones dealing with the financials.
Okay.
But it is us who will do it as Kenyans, because we tunapanda kwa kikingi.
Hey.
But in terms of who is negotiating this thing, you will not be anywhere in the picture. So
Yeah.
I agree, doing, they will do. And in fact, indeed they have been doing. Even the roads we did in Thika Road. It's not, you could see 1 or 2 Chinese driving that thing. But it's just for training. Otherwise, it was eventually done by Kenyans.
Okay.
Where it is cut off so that those companies are given is for you not to have any discussion with where that money went and who took the money.
So is it possible,
Yes.
instead of getting Adani and all these foreign companies that might come to do whatever, engineers here have companies. I'm
Yes.
sure you have your own company.
I do have my own company.
So is it possible for government of Kenya
Yes.
to give Isaac Ndereva that contract?
Yes.
Wewe sasa ni uende utafute malio pesa itatoka.
Yes.
Whether you will borrow locally
Yes.
from Equity and KCB,
Yes.
or you will go to Africa Development Bank and get the money, or go all the way to China and get that money, or UK, I don't know.
Yes.
Is it possible to
It is possible, but you see, the evaluation is supposed to be done by my government to support me to get money from IMF or wherever else.
Yes.
Okay, but you see, before I reach there, I'm supposed to go to the banks, maybe Equity Bank or thereabout. For you to even raise, for you to support an energy project in Kenya through a bank,
Yeah.
is almost impossible. But if you go to other countries, we've been going to the US. Last May, we were in Dallas, Texas, and those are the discussions we were having. That in case we need to bail out our country in these transmission lines that are being done expensively, can you give us funding, and then we come and do it. And then from there we will, of course, when you are given funding, some of them is grant.
Okay.
That grant, you are told, go and do and help your country.
Yeah.
But you see, even that funding, kupewa hiyo pesa, you can't do anything in Kenya.
Lazima ujue.
Utapigwa sana, wewe you are working with other governments, you can't get help. So I am saying it is the government itself that makes it difficult for even Kenyans to do. We are able to do. We have had many discussions. We have talked even in Florida in those forums.
Yes.
We have talked in California, in Los Angeles. We have discussed those things, and some of the countries listen. But where it blocks is when you
The
have
funding.
to discuss with the government. The funding is there, but you have to discuss with the government. And when you
The
discuss
government of Kenya.
of Kenya,
Okay.
but now the government will bring some conditions that if this is to be done, it is this and this person you need to discuss with whether it's going to be possible. Kube, that person is talking on behalf of someone else, such that someone else is actually the one doing. It's only the funding you brought, but it's the one to manage. That becomes complicated for us.
Yeah, it's quite complicated. Maybe to ask, in that bill that we do pay,
Yes.
power bill,
Yes.
do we have anything that goes to Kentraco?
Yes. What happens? Kenya Power collects money. The money that we are saying is a base tariff. You know, we talked of the bill has 8 components. The first component is the token amount. That token amount, some of it goes to Ketraco, some of it goes to Kenya Power Operation and Maintenance, another one goes to RELEC. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, and the other bit goes to buying power. So it is, the first is to buy power from Ketraco, from Kenigen and independent power producers. The next one is the operation and maintenance of Kenya Power, because they have to pay salaries and their maintenance and procuring the infrastructure. And then it gives REREC because of the maintenance of the Garissa solar. Okay. And then the transmission, Ketraco gets the money from there. So 4.
Okay, yeah. Because I was looking at specifically maybe
It's only that we don't
what
break
Kenyans
down.
have been contributing in terms of maintaining the transmission infrastructures.
Yeah.
Yes, I was looking at it from that
Yeah,
perspective.
it's normally given by Kenya Power. So if you look at Kenya Power itself, it's just a collecting agency.
Yeah.
It's just collecting for the rest of the people. In fact, if they are only talking about, you are collecting power to buy power from Kenigen, isn't it? So yours is only operation and maintenance. It is actually like 1% of the whole collection. But people think that Kenya Power are the ones stealing. Sometimes I say they are not the ones stealing.
Yep.
They have been used. In fact, look at this. Do this when they have advertised a position in Kenya Power. Go and say that, oh, I know you can help me. This is one, is a relative, something. You will be told decisions don't come from Kenya Power, not even the MD. It's not even Siror who can tell you, yes, huyu tutachukua. No. It's a list that comes from somewhere else. You will be surprised it could even be Sudi coming up with that list.
Because of course we have the people from Kenya Power who, like back in the day when they used to come and read our meters,
Yes.
So walikuwa wanakuja pale, unapatana na jamaa, ukiongea naye vizuri utakatiwa stima.
Yes.
Yeah. So but those are directly employed by Kenya Power. But what you're saying is that at the end of the day jamaa maybe ako hapo
Yes.
hakuchorwa na Kenya Power.
Ah.
Yes.
See, you know how many, like now there are positions. I don't know. There is somewhere
this is borderline conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But
Kenya, this is Kenya we are in.
I'm still going to talk about our own local investments as far as Kenya as long as power generation is concerned. And I am still going to ask our capacity, our very own capacity, to just develop our own infrastructure, whether it's geothermal, hydro, or thermal. Where are we? Do we, number one, have the skills?
Yes.
Number two, I know funding is an issue, but do we have the skills and do we have the capability?
Thank you very much. I will take that one because I want us to start from first principles.
Right.
I said currently we are generating around 1.2 billion
Yes.
per month kilowatt hours. Unaona hizo tokens unachukua 5 nini 100, eventually they are 1.2 billion that are generated. But because of the losses, we can talk of that we are selling. Kenya Power is selling 1 billion.
Okay.
So 1 billion fuel cost charge they are collecting now is around 3-4 shillings. Take it as 4. Okay, 4 shillings is 4 billion per month. Multiply by 12, we could be having 48 billion. You mean 48 billion cannot do a transmission from here up to Mombasa? They can. So what will happen? We will take some loan which will be paid by consumers because when they stop paying for fuel cost charge because they have been connected. See now that money is available.
Yes.
We can fund that.
So that's 48 billion Kenya shillings
in a year. Yes.
Okay.
So what we are saying is to look at, let us, you can even actually do it. Yeah? You can actually even tell people, let us, we have added 3 shillings. I would agree. In fact, if I was a CS for energy, I would say we have increased 3 shillings per kilowatt hour for the next 1 year. But now, as we collect, we will be telling you how much it is. But we are targeting 50 billion.
Okay.
Once we have that 50 billion, because the contract is not supposed to be paid once, on the ground we will be having people doing the transmission. And then, once they complete the transmission, we cut off the supply or the generation of power in coast region using diesel. Then these 3 shillings will be knocked off. And then these other 3 shillings, because you have finished constructing, you don't need to contribute. So you lower, eventually it will be 6 shillings reduction, but from the initial it will be 3 shillings reduced. That is 1 year. I mean, we are capable. We have the money. Kenyans have got a lot of money.
It is happening anyway.
We are anyway. We are it is still going to people's pockets.
Bado tunakatwa.
Yes.
Right. So and
it is possible for Kenya to fund its project.
Yes.
Because the government only need to create a contract with the people of Kenya.
Do we have the skills and the technical know-how?
In fact, I was in one of the meetings with one of the company that is in charge of transmission. There were very many people like us who are posing that question. Yes, they were posing that question to that entity, telling them, why are we not being given these jobs? And it was just not one person. There were many.
Everybody was wondering.
Everybody was wondering, why are you giving these jobs to Adani? Give us these jobs. Engage us.
What was their answer?
They said they will consult. I don't know who they were going to consult. Yes.
Let me tell you even what I've also raised. I think I was in that meeting also.
Right.
And Engineer John Mativo is my friend. He is MD of Ketraco. And I told him, I still don't understand why you are telling us that you are bringing someone to fund this PIP. PIP is privately initiated proposal to do a line. Like I come and tell you, you know what, you are using too much money to cook ugali. What I am proposing is that instead of you using gas, I'll come and use firewood and like that. And then you pay me to do that. Okay? No, that is what is privately initiated proposal. It is the supplier or the contractor who is coming to tell you what you need to do and then pay him. So I asked him, these people who you are giving priority as privately initiated proposal, why have they not found it more profitable to do from Nairobi to Mombasa? Why are they doing the short lines, and you are giving them a chance to come and tell you what you need? You are the people who know your problems. I've not seen any PIP contractor who is Kenyan, so they don't know our problems. We know our problems. So when they come, give us an opportunity to talk with them and tell them where the issue is, if they are interested. But now, what is interesting is that these PIP or privately initiated proposals, they seem like they are coming from elsewhere. But they are Kenyans who are using people. You go and tell them, come, I tell you what we come to do here. So that has been the challenge. So we posed that question, and I said, we need to be the ones having priority, so that instead of giving those people priority on coming privately to propose,
Right.
let us give them a list of our priorities. If they are interested, let them fund. If they are not, let them go. But they cannot pick on the shortest line in Chemosit and say, this looks like it is disturbing you.
Yeah,
And then they come and load it on Kenyans. We as Kenyans need to be consulted, because if you are in Turkana and you'll be paying for the Chemosit line, if you are in Kilifi and you'll be paying for the Chemosit line, you need to be consulted. It's a very sensitive matter if you are touching on the public money. And we are saying, as we have always said, when we were doing SGR,
Right.
we used, I think, 328 billion. If you look at how much we get, much money we get from SGR, much as it is an economy open and infrastructure, we are supposed to use about 124 years to pay. Now, you are a president. You are here with us for only 10 years. Do you really need to tie us for 124 years? You are tying all the other presidents even when you belong gone. So such decisions that are sensitive to the public of Kenya do not need joking. You need to actually seriously discuss with the public and see whether I need my grandchild to be paying for this rail. Okay?
Yeah,
And whether it is necessary for us to keep on paying, because there are people who have never used SGR in Mombasa.
But unajua hao wako na pesa sasa waonangi hiyo shida huko.
They don't see. So that is why we are saying, when you are engaging a country to be indebted for more than 10 years, for more than the period you be the president, that is a decision you don't need to do with your cabinet or even with your registration, with your cabinet or even with your registration around that time.
Okay.
You need to consult seriously.
That's by the way.
Because you are also deciding for other presidents who will come, isn't it?
Well, would you please give us an overview of how energy power is produced in Uganda compared to Kenya, and maybe a comparison of their prices and the charges that we are doing here in Kenya that Uganda are not doing?
Let me tell you. In fact, so that you can be able to see correctly. You know, I don't need to tell you something that this is a power bill. This is for example, Zambia. Read for us what you see there. That is for Zambia.
I'm seeing kilowatts 180.5 amount 214.76
That
shillings.
is the token amount.
Yes. Then total excise
You said
duty.
shillings, ni shillings.
No, that is
200.
Zambian shilling. In fact, I didn't want you to read the figure. I just want you to read the what is the component.
Okay, there is a total excise duty.
Yes.
Then there is total VAT.
Yes.
Fixed. Kuna that fixed charge, and TV license.
TV license.
Which is zero.
Which is zero.
Actually, which is zero. Yes, the fixed
Is there
charge.
anything else? Did you see Warma? Did you see Efra? Did you see anything?
There's nothing else
That
in
is
that
the typical bill in Africa. Kenya is the one that is international, more international than the international. It has 8 components.
Tuko na the token
Amount.
aspect.
Yes.
Then tuko na excise duty.
We normally have the VAT, we don't have the excise duty.
Hao wako na excise duty
Yes.
pamoja na VAT.
Yes.
Then the fixed charge.
Fixed charge tuliondoa.
Na TV license, which is zero actually.
Which is zero.
Yes.
So that is Zambia. You know Zambia is developed.
Can I have a look?
Just look at it. So that when you say power is expensive in Kenya,
But by the way, Zambia pays around 4 shilling.
it's 4 shillings. So that is
Yes.
the bill.
That
Now-
they pay 4 shilling
And
per
remember,
unit.
KenGen sells power to Kenya Power at around 4 shillings. So you see, how are you eventually paying 30 shillings?
You go to Ethiopia, the same thing. They pay around 4 shilling per unit.
Kenya is the one that they have used everybody to collect money. In fact, there will be. I have not even mentioned. Let a time come that we are going to discuss petroleum components. You will see even something they call wafage, pipeline losses, things. A very funny, interesting thing. You'll be surprised. So Kenya has just found a way in which to extort money from Kenyans. The government has found a way to extort money from Kenyans using these components that Kenyans are not very attentive on. Once you are given a bulk amount, then you don't investigate. There is a Zambian bill. I should have given you the Tanzanian bill. It only has a demand charge, fixed charge, and VAT. It's just like any other component that you buy.
Hiyo bill nimeona ni kama huyu jamaa analipanga shilingi 5.
Yes.
That's what we are saying.
Yes.
And then industry wise, we are supposed to compete with Ethiopia,
Yeah.
which is offering the investor 4 shilling per kilowatt hour. Where would you want to invest? Do you want to invest in Kenya where it is 30 shillings or Ethiopia where it is 4 shilling? Of course you go where it is cheap.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can see this lady was called Hope. She's in Zambia. she was telling me how she does not understand.
Yeah.
What are these other things that we pay? Out of 500 shillings, she got a lot of units. So
nimeona hizo units zake, because the Zambian kwacha is about 5 shillings ya Kenya.
Yes.
So if I divide that 500,
Yes.
huyu mtu ni kama analipanga.
That's the reality. That's the reality. Yes.
So that's the reality.
You can imagine Kenya cost of power is compared to Cape Verde.
Yes.
Cape Verde generate its own power purely from diesel.
Yes.
Huyu mtu ni kama analipanga 100 for electricity an entire month.
Yes. That is what many countries are. Even in India. Get an Indian. Ask them how much do you pay power in your country.
Yes.
You'll be surprised. It's not beyond 10 shillings.
And that is why if you go to India, every other home behind it,
Yes.
there is an industry.
It's an industry.
That is how they have been able to industrialize.
Yeah, because those guys make everything from
Yes.
from the medicine we take
Yes.
to the spices we use and so
Yes.
on.
And electricity is an economy enabler.
True.
Because I was trying to discuss with someone, and I was telling them the biggest population of the doctors in the US are Indians.
Yeah.
Okay? If you go back, you will realize why they are like that. Because most of the things are cheap and they are affordable. Let's not even discuss about education in Kenya, because we not have a doctor in the US who is from Kenya. It can't happen.
All right. So solutions. What do we need to do? As much as we need to get rid of Warma, or rather WRA now it is called, to make our electricity bill cheaper.
We just definitely need to. We will talk with EPRA. We have scheduled a meeting as a society with EPRA.
Yeah.
We will be discussing them and tell them that we have seen a gazette notice on a given date. And we think that if the communication is that they need to add that money, first of all, they should come out and explain to Kenyans what they are doing. And then Kenyans should tell them whether they need the service, because they have not seen it and we don't think it is necessary. In that sitting, we should also be having people like Tarda, which is Tana River Development Authority, and we should be having Kengen, and they see whether they are seeing any effect of the money collected by Warma in the regard to power generation. That is a discussion we need to have, and then EPRA, as the people who will be at the middle of that discussion, they should be able to hear us. If that is not possible and we are not agreeing, because sometimes they may have agreed before we come, what we will do is that of course we will go to court.
Somebody is asking, basi shida ni KPLC's monopoly?
Yes, sort of, because the monopoly by KPLC is because, again, it is 51% by government. So most of the decisions that it should be taking should be directive from the government. And you see, even the MD himself has to have the government input for him to be the MD. It's a political position. So as a result, they do a lot of there is that monopoly bit. But again, there is a law that says, especially the Energy Act, they say it is not mandatory for Kenya Power to be the only people who are. It's monopoly. As a result, they are going to keep on doing what they want.
But just to add to what he has said, as we have seen, most of the costs that we see in that bill are passed through.